In this video, we're going to install these vent shields on my 2016 Harley-Davidson Road Glide Ultra. And if everything goes well, we're going to install these LED light strips inside the fairing as well. We'll get into that right after this short intro. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew. Welcome back to Touring Midwest. So to install these vent screens, we're going to have to remove the front part of the fairing. And to start off, we're going to just have to remove the windshield. So we'll do that and then we'll continue on. So basically we start out by removing the windshield. It's very filthy, so I'm going to take this opportunity to clean it before. Next I'm going to remove the cowl for the top vent here. I think I might be able to just leave my fairing pouch on here. We'll see. There's clips basically like here and here. If you pop that off, the whole assembly should come off. Perfect. That's very dirty too, so yes, good opportunity to clean this stuff when it's all apart. Alright, so now you basically have access to the inside of your fairing, but we need to remove this whole part. So for starters, what we're going to do is just reinstall two of the screws that held your windshield on. That's going to support the fairing until we get everything else taken apart. These don't need to be tightened down at all. They're just there so that the fairing doesn't fall off. You want to protect your front fender. So I've got my leather jacket here. I'm just going to throw that over. Alright, next thing you're going to want to do is just remove your speaker grills. You can reach in here and just pop them out. And then just work your way around, and that's going to give you access to a cap screw on each side. So we're going to remove those. Next thing is to remove the two little wind spoilers on each side of your fairing, because you're going to need to get those bolts out to get the fairing off. And next you're going to want to remove the visible bolt for your turn signals. Now we can unhook the blinker wires and remove the two screws that are holding the fairing in place. Now you just want to hold your fairing so it doesn't fall and carefully remove these screws. Alright, next thing we have to do is remove these two brackets that hold your headlight assembly in. There's just a couple screws that hold that in, so none of this stuff is torqued down super tight. Your fittings are brass, so you don't want to strip out the threads on those. Alright, so next step in installing the vents is to place them in here, kind of fit them in, but we have to go on to the next step, which is trying to get the LED light strips in place. I'm going to kind of run them to the power just to get an idea what it's going to look like before I place them. Alright, so I've got a pretty good idea now where I want to put the LEDs. I just got to make sure everything's going to fit right and make sure I can get the wires run and hidden. So that's going to be our next step. Alright, so I've got my vent screens both installed. I'm sticking with the LEDs for now just to see how it goes, because I can always pull them out if I need to, I suppose. And we'll go from there. So now I'm just going to figure out how to run my wires for my LEDs, and then we'll focus on getting everything put back together. And I'll show you how everything looks when it's complete. But yeah, these screens look pretty nice. This one I did have to just take the Dremel to a little bit, trim it down on the side here, and it went into place no problem. So pretty happy with that. Alright, so now it's basically just time to put everything back together. I've got the LEDs in and the screens, so that's golden. I've got the fairing back in place and held again with these 2 windshield screws so it doesn't fall off. I'm just going to start assembling everything else, putting the bolts back together, and hopefully everything lines up alright. So I am just making sure not to tighten anything down until everything's in place and all the bolts are in. I want to make sure everything lines up right, and then we'll tighten down the bolts. Alright, we're now ready to put the cowl back on, so we'll do that next. Alright, everything's back together. I just basically had to go around and tighten down all the bolts, make sure everything's secure, but let's check this out. Alright, there we have it. Vent screens with LED lights behind them. We'll see how it goes. Let me show you what it looks like with the vents, with the LED lights on. So they had kind of a cocky look, but they're also going to protect from like bugs flying up through here, going through your vents and getting you. So there is a protection factor as well, and that's it. Thanks again to Nicholas for sending these vent screens out. I very much appreciate it. It was a fun little install, and I think it looks pretty dang cool. So thank you very much for that. Everybody else, stay safe out there. Have a good one. We'll catch you in the next video from Touring Midwest.